Hey there, movie fans. It is time for a new episode of Rank and File. I'm your host, Scott Movie Mantz. So to honor the passing of the late, great Sean Connery, Oscar-winning actor at the age of 90, we're going to rank and file the James Bond movies in which Sean Connery was James Bond. So let's get right to it and rank and file the Sean Connery James Bond movies with number 7 on the list, which is You Only Live Twice. Directed by Lewis Gilbert, release date June 13th, 1967. Budget is $9.5 million. Domestic gross was $43 million. Worldwide gross is $112 million. The screenplay, written by Roald Dahl, yes, that Roald Dahl, who wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This is the 5th James Bond movie in only 5 years, since 1962, and it feels like it because this is where the James Bond series started to get stale. It fell into a rut. It was checking off the boxes, and it felt formulaic and routine, dull and uninspired, and you can even see it in Sean Connery's performance. He kind of phones it in. Physically, he's there, but emotionally, he's not. Moving up to number 6 on the list is Never Say Never Again, directed by Irvin Kershner, release date October 7th, 1983. Budget was $36 million. Domestic gross is $55 million. Worldwide gross is $160 million. 1983 was a very exciting year because you had not just one, but 2 James Bond movies, Never Say Never Again and Octopussy, which was Roger Moore's 6th time playing James Bond. Now here's the difference. Octopussy is an official James Bond movie. It's in the canon. It was produced by Eon Productions. Never Say Never Again is not part of the canon. It was not produced by Eon Productions, and it's basically a very loose remake of Thunderball, and the reason for that is because Jack Schwartzman produced the film with Kevin McClory, one of the original writers of the Thunderball story by Ian Fleming, and that is why he was able to hold on to the rights. So this is 12 years after Connery did Diamonds Are Forever. Sean Connery was 52 years old when he made Never Say Never Again, and it just hit me that I am now the same age as Sean Connery was when he made Never Say Never Again. Wow. But Never Say Never Again feels like a second-rate James Bond movie. You don't have the theme. You don't have the iconic opening with the spotlight across and James Bond shooting into the camera and the blood coming down. It feels like a movie that is going over legal hurdles in order to get made, which it was. But you know what? It was great to see Sean Connery back as James Bond. Sure, he's a little bit older, but he fit right back into the character. The other thing about Never Say Never Again is the villain. Klaus Maria Brandauer stole this movie as the villain. He was great. The action scenes were really exciting. The underwater stuff was awesome. The movie ended strong, and I love that last moment when Connery breaks the fourth wall to wink into the camera. Never say never again, indeed. Moving up to number 5 on the Sean Connery James Bond rank and file is Diamonds Are Forever. Directed by Guy Hamilton, release date December 17th, 1971. Budget was $7.2 million. Domestic gross $44 million. Worldwide gross $116 million. This is an Oscar nominee for Best Sound. So after George Lazenby did On Her Majesty's Secret Service, people weren't really happy with Lazenby. It was kind of a weak Bond. Also, he was very difficult to work with. So United Artists wanted Sean Connery back, and they were going to pay through the nose to get it, and they did, paying Connery what was then a record $1.25 million to return. So Diamonds Are Forever, I think I'm in the minority on this one. I really like Diamonds Are Forever. I think a lot of people don't like this movie that much, but it is a return to form in a lot of ways. Not only is Connery back, but you also have Guy Hamilton back, who directed what was regarded and is regarded as one of the very best James Bond movies, Goldfinger. And like Goldfinger, you have Shirley Bassey singing the title theme. And instead of gold, you have diamonds. It does feel formulaic. It does feel derivative of prior films, especially Thunderball and You Only Live Twice. They played it safe because they wanted to give Bond fans what they wanted, and in a lot of ways they did, and in a lot of ways they didn't, because the early Bond movies did take chances. But Diamonds Are Forever feels like the most modern of the official James Bond movies starring Connery. It has more of the campy, silly, tongue-in-cheek humor that would come to define the Roger Moore James Bond series. So to that extent, you can almost look at Diamonds Are Forever as a way to ease Bond fans into the next era of Bond movies with Roger Moore. This is still fun and entertaining, great stunts. Moving up to number 4 on the list is Thunderball. Directed by Terrence Young, release date in the United States was December 21st, 1965. Budget is $9 million. Domestic gross is $64 million, including reissues. Worldwide gross, also including reissues, is $141 million. Thunderball is an Oscar winner for Best Effects and Special Visual Effects. This is the 4th time Connery is playing Bond, and this feels like a Bond movie that is firing on all cylinders, and it's coasting along at the top of its game. It was the most expensive James Bond movie to that point, costing more than the first 3 James Bond movies combined. But this is where James Bond started to feel like it was going through the motions. This movie is a turning point to the extent that this is where the hardware started to dominate the series, and it never really recovered from that. I mean, it did a little bit with For Your Eyes Only and maybe Casino Royale, but after this, for many, many years, it was more about the hardware and about the spectacle. It's still really good fun and very entertaining. The underwater stunts and the action scenes are very good. Thunderball is an extremely solid James Bond film starring Sean Connery. Moving up to number 3 on the list is Dr. No. Directed by Terrence Young. Release date in the United Kingdom, October 5th, 1962. Remember that date because I'm going to come back to it in a second. The budget is $1.1 million. Domestic gross is $16 million, including reissues. Worldwide gross, $60 million. This is a Golden Globe winner, promising female newcomer Ursula Andress. So why does October 5th, 1962 mean so much? Well, not only is it the same day that we got the James Bond movie Dr. No, it is also the same day in the United Kingdom that the Beatles released their very first song, Love Me Do. So can you imagine on the same day, October 5th, 1962, you get the first James Bond movie and the first Beatles song, 2 enduring entertainment properties that are still at the top of their game, even more so to this very day. I think that's really cool. Dr. No kicked off James Bond with style and substance. Who can forget that first entrance? The way that Sean Connery makes his entrance as James Bond. He's wearing his tux. He's got the cigarette dangling out of his mouth, and he says, Bond, James Bond. From that very first moment, Sean Connery owned James Bond, and he would just get better from there. He exuded coolness. He exuded sex appeal right from the start. And this is a film that has action, thrills, suspense, exotic locales, and beautiful women. With Dr. No, Sean Connery, just in that very first moment, he set the bar, and the bar has yet to be topped. Sean Connery became the standard by which every other James Bond, every other spy, and every other spy movie would be judged. Now we get to numbers 1 and 2 on the list. This is a tough one. How do you choose between the better Bond film, whether it's From Russia with Love or Goldfinger? They're both great. They're both masterpiece movies. So which is better? This goes back to the problem I had trying to pick between Alien and Aliens, and also Terminator and Terminator 2. Only one can be number 1. There is no tie in this situation. So I turned to social media and I posted a poll on Twitter basically saying which is the better James Bond movie, Goldfinger or From Russia with Love. And I paid attention to the comments on that post because a lot of the fans brought up some very interesting points. Anthony Poirier said Goldfinger is the prototypical Bond film, but From Russia with Love is just better. Great plot, great characters, and dare I say, one of the few sequels that's better than the original. Very good point, Anthony. Then there's Javier Bermudez, who said, Goldfinger literally wrote the formula for any blockbuster, especially Bond films, since then. There is a reason for that. Well, who won the poll? I thought this was going to be really, really close, like Alien and Aliens, where it's going to be so, so close. But I was surprised to see that the winner by a good gold mile was Goldfinger with 71% over From Russia with Love, which had 29%. So I thought, do I go with the popular opinion here or do I trust my instincts? So the number 2 movie on the Movie Mantz rank and file Sean Connery James Bond list is wow. Goldfinger, yes, directed by Guy Hamilton. Release date in the United States was December 22nd, 1964. Budget is $3 million. Domestic gross is $51 million. Worldwide gross, $125 million. Those include reissues, obviously. This movie is an Oscar winner. It won the gold, you could say, for best effects, sound effects. Goldfinger really represents the James Bond series hitting its stride. It was the Bond that the world came to love. It's bigger in scope and bigger in hardware, for better or worse. We had the first great James Bond car, that Aston Martin. It's also a little more preposterous, more gadgets, more humor, more one-liners. But so many great moments in this movie, like that pre-credits action sequence, which was shocking, positively shocking. First time we heard James Bond order a martini, shaken, not stirred. We have that great exchange between Bond and Goldfinger. Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. And then, my name is Pussy Galore. I must be dreaming. Great theme song sung by Shirley Bassey. Awesome score, musical score by the amazing John Barry. So that means the number 1 movie, the number 1 Sean Connery James Bond film on the Movie Mantz rank and file is From Russia with Love. Directed by Terrence Young. Release date in the United Kingdom, October 23rd, 1963. Budget, $2 million. Domestic gross, $25 million. Worldwide gross is $79 million. From Russia with Love is as good as it gets. It's the perfect spy thriller by any measure, not just by James Bond standards. It's a tighter film than Goldfinger. It's a leaner and meaner film. It is a better story and a better pace. And this really established Sean Connery's James Bond as a mean, gritty, tough, hands-on, and dangerous spy. You do not want to mess with him. Connery's performance is assured and it is inspired, and you can feel the heart in this performance. This is Connery's very best performance as Bond. Awesome action. I love the hands-on fights. Awesome train sequence between Connery and Robert Shaw. The building tension between these two guys, culminating with a very kick-ass fight scene on that train. And this is really Bond being Bond before the hardware and the spectacle bit started to take over. It did establish a lot of the trademarks. You had the very stylized opening credit sequence. Desmond Llewellyn's Q came on the scene with some of the gadgets. But this is a pivotal film where Dr. No set up the character of James Bond. From Russia with Love is where the style and the formula were perfected and never topped, not even by Goldfinger. From Russia with Love is a film that not only holds up after all these years, it has gotten better with age. And even though it's a Cold War spy thriller, there's something about the film that just does not feel dated at all. I think when a push comes to shove between Goldfinger and From Russia with Love, I think more casual fans tend to go with Goldfinger because of those iconic moments that that film sets up. But I think true diehard Bond fans really acknowledge that From Russia with Love is the better James Bond movie. What did you think of my ranking of Connery's Bond movies? Comment below. Let me know what you thought. Also, let me know for sure which movie do you think is better, From Russia with Love or Goldfinger. And while we're at it, why don't you let me know who else you would like to see me rank and file, what other film series you would like to see me rank and file, what other director you would like to see me rank and file. And, comment below. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And until the next episode of Rank and File, here's looking at you, kid.